Coined the phrase, family, visitors, and fish are alike because after 3 days, they begin to stink. I think it's kind of ironic that we celebrate the Feast of the Holy Family right after Christmas, this Feast of the Holy Family, because, we're focusing on family. We're focusing on, obviously, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus as being that model for all of us. And in some way, we're celebrating our families, no matter what that family looks like. And of course, our families take many different shapes and sizes these days, but it's kind of ironic. But I think it helps us to kind of reflect a little bit, because I know there's some frustration, there's some anxiety, there's some stress that has gone along with the last couple weeks of your lives. And that's okay, because you know what? Sometimes that's what happens, especially when family is around. But I think today is important for all of us, again, to reflect on what does that mean in our lives. And of course, like I said, using the Holy Family as our model. I often refer to our parish here at St. Mark. You always hear me refer to the parish family. I've often thought about that in all the churches that I've belonged to, the ones that I've worked at. I've considered them to be family. When I lost my mother, when I lost my father, it was those parish families that really supported me, that lifted me up, that gave me that love and compassion, to help me and my family get through those difficult times. So I've always felt a real connection to you and to all those parish families. My brothers and sisters, sometimes some of you have stepped forward and showed me that love and compassion of my mother. Some have stepped forward to give me that wisdom of my father. Every family always has a crazy uncle, but it is. We are a family in a very special way. And I hope in some way that you see that and you feel that, in the things that you go through in your life. But, there's two things that I really reflected on this week when we think about this Feast of the Holy Family, and when I think about these readings, when I reflected on them. And the first thing comes from the gospel. All right, I love that line in there where Mary and Joseph have been, on their journey for a day, a full day, and they didn't even realize that Jesus was missing. It took them a full day before all of a sudden it clicked in their head that, oh my gosh, Jesus isn't with us. And I thought that is just a brilliant thought, because it speaks to me, and I hope in some way it speaks to you. Because I think there's those times when we as a family or we as individuals just kind of wander off, and we don't even realize that we've left Jesus behind, that we've left God behind out of our lives because we get so busy, because we get so busy with the stuff of life. And that does happen. Martin Luther King once said that we unconsciously usher God out of the universe. We really don't even think about it because, again, we get our lives so packed with so many things. Even over the last 2 weeks, you think about it. You were worried about, the celebrations and the presents and the food and whatever, the house clean. And we sometimes forget that he's not there because we pushed him away or we left him behind. Now, the gist of this story isn't that Jesus was lost. Jesus wasn't lost. Jesus is where he always is. And that's where they found him. But it took them a few moments to realize, again, the hustle and bustle. Now, where did they find him? In God's house. And I think we need to be challenged that way in our own lives, especially even our family lives, to take a step back and say, have we left God behind? Have we put God on the back burner? Have we left Jesus behind? Because like I said, he's not lost. Because once we come back here, we realize it's not him that was lost, it's us that got a little distracted, and we became lost. And so we have to search a little bit harder. I love that in there where, they search for him frantically. I mean, fast and furious, they were headed back to, to Jerusalem, to find him, filled with anxiety. I hope in some way we're motivated sometimes that way too, that fast and furious, we're looking for him. And they let that anxiety motivate us just a little bit more, no matter what's going on in our lives. Maybe it's that anxiety, maybe it's that distraction, maybe it's that difficulty that might motivate us a little bit more to say, I'm sorry, God, I left you behind, but I want to be here. I want to be here with you, and I want you in my life. But it takes us to do that. We have to sometimes go back. So I hope you think about that. Now, the second thing, that I really reflected on this week, and that is this sense of family and faith and how important that is. Our Catechism of the Catholic Church refers to the family as the domestic church. In Father's opening prayer, he referred to that, the domestic church. It means the church at home. I mean, it's there in the family at home where everything flows. And I can tell you in my own life, it wasn't just coming to church that helped my faith grow. It was what was happening in my family. I've always said the greatest gift my parents gave me besides life, was the gift of faith, because it wasn't something we just did 1 hour a week on Sundays. It was something that was a part of our lives 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We learn to love God and we learn to love neighbor from that experience in family, no matter what that is. Like I said, family comes in many shapes and sizes. It could be, that family at home. It could be that family at work. It could be that family of friends. But it's within there that we need to help each other. Like I said, love God and love neighbor. And to share that and to let that flow from there. This reading from Colossians, I love this reading, and I share this with engaged couples, when I'm preparing them, because I said, this should be at the heart of who you are. As baptized Christians, we now have a new responsibility to love, to show compassion, to show kindness, to be forgiving. I mean, that's where it all kind of flows from. That's where it all starts from. But it starts there at the family, and it's all about putting God first. For anybody that's ever been a part of any youth ministry experience with me or youth group with me, they always know that at the end of our meetings, it was always the same thing, that I would have the kids chant, today I'm going to put God first. Because I always said that if we do that, everything else flows from there. Now, my kids aren't so lucky because being the child of a preacher, they get it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And in some way, I'm always trying to give them a little message about, are you putting God first today? Okay? And usually at Christmas time, I try to do a little gift in some way that might make them think about that. And this year, to my boys and to my son-in-law and to the boyfriend, okay, I got them all a shirt. And it came from the House of Hutch. I don't know if you know what that is, but Aiden Hutchinson, our Detroit Lions, and of course, you know what? We got to root for them tomorrow, and we got to root for the Packers today, believe it or not, right? But, Aiden Hutchinson has a nonprofit charity, and it's called the House of Hutch. And yes, I'm sure there's money that's being made and all of this, but a good portion of that money goes to help childhood diseases or, to cure childhood diseases. He's very, supportive of that, and he's very much a proponent of doing all we can for research and putting money in the right place. Well, as I went to that website, I found a shirt on there that I got for each one of my boys, and it's just a very simple shirt, a black shirt, and on the front of it, it says, "Breathe in God." Breathe in God. And I wrote them each a note. And I said, if you start your day this way, breathing in God, and you live your day all day by breathing in God, you're going to become the best version of yourself. And you're going to help others to become holy. You're going to help others to become the best version of themselves. You're going to become a person that is able to do what it says in Colossians by being compassionate, being kind, being forgiving, being loving. I mean, that's really what it's all about. But this message of today, is about us saying to ourselves, are we putting God first and letting God flow through our families? And we have to start with the individual. We truly do. Also, I think our prayer today for all of us, and it is for me every day too, because I can tell you I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect parent. I listened to what Mary and Joseph went through right here in this reading when they said they were filled with anxiety, and of course they went to Jesus and they said, why did you do this to us? I'm sure Mary was very calm and, she was very pleasant in it. I mean, if it was me, it would have been, what are you doing? Where were you at? I mean, get in the car, whatever. I mean, that's what would have came out. But again, it all goes back to saying we begin with God, and then everything else flows from there. So my prayer for me, for you, for all of us, for this parish family, for your families, is just to breathe in God a little bit more each day in everything that you do. Breathe in God.